Hi art lovers, welcome. This is Sunny. I'm trying to record another watercolor video today with you all. So going back to the brushes, but this time a more wet on wet, intuitive, loose, floral kind of watercolor video. I wanted to make this time around. I was going to actually this time do a more from the very scratch type of video with you all, and this is the same Canson paper that I used in the previous video, and again everything is going to be in this description section in the bottom of the video. This is a green tea, jasmine tea, jasmine bliss. By the way, I make tea as well. This is a passion. While I'm taping this, I will tell you a little bit about myself in case you're curious. Mental health and peace and calm and being in the present and being present in the present moment. It's been one of the interests of my life, so the interesting themes of my life, because I believe it really helps to, you know, stay healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, in every way, and living a balanced life. And I think watercolor has also been super helpful. So being cozy and hygge and tea and watercolor and Rumi poetry and all of those all together are part of like the identity of my brand, and they all help each other and go hand in hand. So like candle that brings warmth and coziness, even like the plants like the moss. This one's called Twiggy by an amazing floral artist, Taklon, who is a local florist and a plant goddess, I call her. And like the candles from different awesome candle artists that are local. This one by Cherokee Rose Candle, for instance. And I have Woodstock Candle. I have another artist that I actually make the watercolors with, for instance Dirty Unicorn and AsheqArt, that we made this beautiful. It's going to be actually launched soon online, and these watercolors have such high quality. This is the travel set premium watercolor. So again, the element of being earthy and close to nature, and the warmth, fire, water, and like again herbs from nature, jasmine, tea, and the Persian blend that I make, which is a family recipe that has been appreciated by our family for years, and everything else that I believe really help us to be at the center and also present with ourselves and with nature, and staying connected with nature and the universe, and with everyone else around us, and living a more present life and mindful lifestyle. Anyways, I'm talking too much, but yeah, have yourself a cozy tea and paint. And what we're trying to do here is painting a floral that is going to be more like a wet on wet and a very like loose style. I'm going to zoom on my paper a little bit more. And what I'm trying to do here, I'm using one of my flat 30mm brushes, but I'm going to spray. You can also use a sponge for this type of florals. It's up to you if you want to use more a landscape or a portrait. Whatever orientation you like for this painting is fine. And I was going to paint the tulips in this painting, and I'm going to make more like wildflowers. I may even add some roses in between or other flowers. So again, it's intuitive, and you're going to paint whatever type of flowers in this season that you're more attracted to. So we're going to do that. And wetting the paper. In this stage, you want the paper to be kind of like a glossy type of wetness. And by the way, I usually don't leave my brushes in the, sorry for all the noises. It's nice actually, because these are all like handmade ceramics, and they are supposed to make really nice chime sounds. So I always prepare my colors, and I have like waken up my and sprayed my watercolor piece. By the way, I have said sprayed my brushes last night, which I do kind of spray my brushes too. I wake up and spray everything. So at this stage, my paper is nice and wet, and then I'm going to use a round brush. This time I'm using the round brush Escoda Versatil, which is like, as you can see, it has a really nice tip, but again, it's not as defined, so it gives you a lot of nice edge to play with, if it makes sense. It's going to be so different from Perla and Ultimo that we experienced last time. So again, I have a very nice surface, and I usually use the word massage for wetness because this is a cotton paper and it absorbs really nice amount of water. Some good masters like to wet both back and front of the paper, which is amazing. But again, because I used the stretching technique and I stretched my paper and taped it on both sides, I did not do that. But again, that's a great technique to both stretch your paper and absorb a lot of water into your paper, and that's also super helpful. This time I'm using the variegated wash technique, and I'm also using really nice amount of greens and Prussian blue, and even like the glacier green if you want to use a little bit for granulation and like texture, but also a lot of nice sap green. So what I'm using is like this imaginary leaves, like imagining I'm going to paint like tulips. So I'm dropping the greens and yellows in between, and a little bit of a Prussian blue in between, just to create that kind of depth. And then I'm going, that was all with flat brush. Now I'm going with that Versatil brush for a little bit more definition. I'm going to the butter consistency of my brush, and I'm also using the Versatil brush, going into more butter consistency, and like using mostly the edge of the brush, and also going into like a little bit of a yellows and different colors to create different silhouettes. Here I got a little bit more watery just because I wanted to create a little bit more of those silhouettes again. And you see how everything is so nice and it's bleeding really nicely. Just want to make sure I like that feeling, but I also want to be a little bit in control of things. So I'm like also trying to give some dimension here, playing with some green here just to create drama and some leaves and just imagining the stems of these tulips that come out, and imagine how you want to attach your tulips to them. Now I'm cleaning my brush and I'm going into some pink color, making sure I'm going to a really clean brush. I'm still using the same brush, and I'm going into some alizarin crimson. Consistency is kind of a cream, and I'm just like trying to imagine some imaginary tulips, and the same thing maybe on this side. Because you had some green in the background, it's going to bleed, and that's okay. I'm going to some purple, dropping some purple. This is your intuitive painting, and dropping more purple here, and a little bit of more of your alizarin crimson here as well, and a little bit more purple, and some here as well too. At this point, everything is going to just get bigger, so I'm dropping more here too, just for drama. I add a little bit more purple here too. This is just going to give you a little depth. And right away, while things are a little wet, I'm going to give it a little bit more of these touches of green, because they're going to blend and it gives you more of the depth and drama, if it makes sense. And I'm going to also add a little bit more of the sap green, and the same, a little bit more of the yellows, just to create a little bit more of the light, because now those are all your silhouettes. As this is getting dry, you can use some sort of, maybe your perla brush that you had from last time. Make sure it's just nice and clean. And at this point, if there are areas that are getting too out of control, see, I'm just going and lifting a little bit of the bleeding. And you can do the same thing, for instance, with this area. I love a lot of the bleedings. Again, it's necessary to have so many of those. But again, in some areas, you want to lift just a little bit. Like over there, a little bit of lifting goes a long way. Let me zoom and show you what I mean by that. Or even here, a little bit of bleeding will give you, lifting will give you a lot of transparency as well. And that way, what you can do is you can actually add a little bit more dark. But you don't want to lift too much, because that can also create mud, if it makes sense. Definitely need to lift up here. Sometimes you even need to go and get your tissue and lift some of these with the tissue. I also like to create some texture come in, like for instance in your leaves, and just create some texture like that. Nothing too much, even like inside your flowers, like here, like this, but just not too much. That will give you like the illusion, because like flower petals just sometimes have that. And what I'm just doing is like the natural folds that you don't have to actually think too much about it. And these are just like the prints that your flower have. And you see like all the surprises, let's say, that it created. Now with the same brush, Versatil, what I'm going to do is going into the sap green and a little bit of the Prussian blue mixed again that I have. Now the stage of my brush is still damp. I'm going to accentuate some of those areas that I have the darkness, just to give the eye a little bit of direction where to look, if it makes sense. And then I'm going to go back to my Alizarin Crimson, and I'm going to go back with the butter consistency mixed with a little bit of my violet, and I'm going to accentuate just a little bit some areas. This is the negative painting type of work, creating some fold in the areas especially that you have put like a little bit of that beautiful fold. Again, you're just trying to create your own version of the flowers. And the leaves sometimes have like a little bit of the leftover of watercolor. I'm just not trying to create texture on the leaves just like last time we did. That's usually a good thing to do for most of the leaves, regardless. And at this point, you have some wet on wet intuitive flowers. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial too. And after it dries, I'm going to post another higher resolution photo. I hope you enjoyed it.